The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
Colorectal cancer is difficult to treat. It can and often spreads, and it kills more than 5,000 Canadians a year, most of them men. And unfortunately, the incidence of colorectal cancer is increasing. It's increasing in younger men in particular. This used to be considered an older person's affliction, says Thomas O'Shaughnessy, the CEO of Onco Innovations, a Calgary-based cancer research company. Not anymore, O'Shaughnessy continues. Men under 50 are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer in increasing numbers, and unfortunately, more younger people are dying from the disease. So one of the reasons why colorectal cancer is deadly is it's challenging when it comes to treatment. Radiation and chemotherapy are supposed to destroy cancer cells. However, in colorectal cancer, they aren't as effective, says O'Shaughnessy. Onco Innovations has developed a treatment that targets solid cancer cells only. The goal is to destroy only the cancer cell's ability to replicate. O'Shaughnessy continues, our treatment is targeted and it aids and enhances the ability of other treatments to destroy and prevent the spread of cancer. I invited Thomas O'Shaughnessy of Onco Innovations to join me for a conversation that matters about targeting and destroying colorectal cancer cells and how this treatment can also be applied to other cancers in the body. Thomas, welcome.
Thank you so much, Stu. It's great to be here.
Colorectal cancer is, in doing research, you go, okay, it's not just one mass that sits there in the intestines. It seems to be placed in a variety of areas. Why does that make it so difficult to target and destroy those cells' ability to replicate?
Well, we have great treatments for colorectal cancer for all cancers. The traditional treatments of chemotherapy and radiation work well, but they don't work well enough, particularly in solid tumors like colorectal cancer. If colorectal cancer is identified early, we have a 90% survival rate. If it's identified late stage, it's more like 14%.
14%?
14%. So what we need to do more of is find precision therapy for solid tumors like colorectal cancer so that we can save the lives of millions of people who are afflicted by this disease. You know, Stu, there'll be 700,000 people in the world will unfortunately die of colorectal cancer. 1.92 million people are afflicted by that disease. 25,000 Canadians will be diagnosed with colorectal cancer this coming year. This is a real challenge, and traditional therapies work, but they are not precision enough. And so what we've been exploring through the University of Alberta Cancer Institute and our science and our research, which is truly extraordinary, is how do we serve as an adjunct to chemotherapy and radiation to bring a precision medicine approach to treat colorectal cancer.
So you talk about precision. I know that chemo or radiation, of course, it's a broader band shot at where the cancer may exist. How do you then develop something that is, you say, no, we'll target a specific cancer cell?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It seems like a tricky bit of genetic engineering.
It is. Our lead scientist, Dr. Michael Weinfeld, at the Cross Cancer Institute at the University of Alberta, started to do work on DNA repair mechanisms in the 1990s. And so he's been at this a long time. And our science and our research is built on that foundation. I often say to the team at Onco Innovations that we're standing on the shoulders of the scientists and the researchers that came before us and many that will come after us. But effectively, what Dr. Weinfeld did is he discovered an inhibitor. It's a mouthful, Stu, polynucleotide kinase phosphatase. It's an inhibitor that makes cancer cells much more susceptible to chemotherapy and radiation, to those traditional therapies, to those traditional treatments. He's worked with other scientists, Dr. Fred West, who's specialized in chemical synthesis at U of A. And then in 2015, he started to collaborate with Dr. Afsana Lavasavanar. That's also a mouthful, but she's a tremendous researcher and scientist. And she's focused on, the technical term is micellular packaging. So how can we package the drug in a nanoparticle, so using nanotechnology, so that we can send more of that drug directly to the cancer cell. So that's what we're looking to take to market here, Stu, and to bring to the bedside and to bring to the clinic and to bring to patients, is how can we inhibit the repair mechanisms in cancer cells from repairing themselves. That's the technical goal. And then how can we deliver more payload of the drug to the specific cancer cell, to the specific tumor, so that we're not damaging the healthy cells. That's the goal with nanotechnology and precision inhibitors.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
So I understand how you can do that in a lab, because you can isolate the tumor. You can say, okay, here's the inhibitor. We can see what that interaction is. The human body is pretty complex, and every body is different. How do you then start to design? You talked about nanotechnologies being able to deliver, but how do you then start to say, okay, for you, it's going to be different than for me because I have a different genome. My body is going to function differently. I've had different exposures in my life. How do you then be able to start to be able to make it precise and I guess bespoke to the patient?
Well, if we first start with solid tumors and we first start with those cancer types that respond, that are P10 negative or SHP11 responsive. So we have to hone in on those solid tumor cancer types. Colorectal cancer is the one that we're beginning with because we've done in vivo studies. Our researchers have done mice studies that have demonstrated very promising results. We've also done cell studies, and we've also done preclinical studies. So the research is promising, the research is sound, and it's what's leading us to move towards our phase 1 clinical trial process, which we're embarking on within the next year. So that's very positive. But your point about the genomic makeup and the biomarkers, this is all, I think, very much at the advent also of how we're treating cancer and how we're honing in on specific tumor stratification. So there's something that we've done recently that's also quite exciting, and that's we had the opportunity to bring a team in and a tremendous AI capability into the company through the acquisition of Inca Health AI. And we really truly believe that the application of AI will enable us to bring even more precision to our ability to not only identify the patients that will benefit most from our therapeutics, but also expand those therapeutics to other cancer types. So AI plays a big role, and we can talk a little bit more about how that works.
Well, let's actually jump to other cancer types right at the moment, because I know that you're starting with colorectal cancer, but that's not the only place where you have solid tumors that may be difficult to treat. What other applications are you working towards?
Well, we're working towards several other applications actually right now with the Cross Cancer Institute. Glioblastoma is a very, brain cancer. It's a very, very hard to treat cancer. There's been some tremendous work that the Lundin family here has committed to. There was a gift of, I think, $4 million to the Canadian Cancer Society to expand research in this area. So GBM, ovarian, prostate, are all other solid tumor types that we believe will be worthy of investigation. We're doing that investigation on GBM right now with the Cross Cancer Institute with Dr. Weinfeld and Dr. Lavasavanar. So we're very excited about that, and we're not resting until we're in a position to expand our reach to other cancer indications.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
for anybody who's watching who says, okay, I have a concern about this, for a variety of different reasons, people would, maybe I self-identify that I could be potentially, in need of this kind of treatment. What's the process from where you are right now? Because you talk about going into clinical trials, to actually being able to deliver this like at the bedside for treatment.
Yeah. Well, listen, drug development and drug discovery is a long and complicated process. It can take years, and we recognize that. But the application of AI, I think, Stu, changes the game for us because we're going to be in a position to be much more precise about the medicines that we move forward into clinical trials. So with access to very rich and high quality precision medicine data sets, we're going to be able to identify the patients that will benefit most from our therapeutics, involve those patients in clinical trials, make the clinical trials much more successful, move them faster, cheaper, by stratifying the tumors and by identifying those patients that will benefit most. And so we're really hoping to be able to accelerate our clinical trial process so that we can get this therapeutic to the clinic, to the bedside, and to patients just as soon as possible. Clinical trials, as I said, long and complicated. They can fail. We don't want to fail. We want to move quickly. People say to me that I'm a little bit too focused on moving quickly. And I said, well, we don't have any time to waste. If we need to be bullish, we'll be bullish about this because we need to accelerate.
Because lives are at stake.
Lives are at stake. And, we're offering a new hope to patients all around the world for enhanced precision treatment for cancer. And so, if we've got hope, Stu, we've got to achieve it.
So when you talk about clinical trials, of course you're going through that process to prove that your hypothesis is correct and you can then deliver this.
That's right.
Why do this in Canada? Like, what is it about the Canadian sort of biomedical research environment that makes Canada ripe for being the right place to do this?
Well, I often say that British Columbia, in fact, is the birthplace of precision medicine. So we've got an extraordinary precision medicine community here. We've got an extraordinary pharmacogenomics community here, a biotech community here, a tech community here that's really on fire. And we have this in British Columbia. We have it at the University of Alberta. We have it all across the country. So this is where we're going to start. Our scientific advisors are also extraordinary, and they span across the country. Dr. Steve Jones is associated with the BC Cancer Research Institute. He's the director of BC Sciences, BC Genome Sciences. Extraordinary. So he'll be involved. We've got other leaders involved from across the country, and we're going to drive this drug to market and bring it to patients right here in Canada. In fact, we're moving forward in one of our first steps for the clinical trials process to manufacture the drug formulation in a GMP setting. And so we are working with a Canadian contract research organization to do that. And
to manufacture in Canada as well.
To manufacture in Canada as well.
That, on the surface, you go, okay, why not? But it's almost a revolutionary idea because we don't manufacture much in the way of drugs in Canada, and it's one of our soft spots.
It is. And so if we can build and draw on the Canadian infrastructure to take us through to all of our approvals, we'll obviously have to get our Canadian approvals, but we'll want to move forward and get FDA approval more broadly, we'll want to go to possibly the TGA in Australia. We'll want to go to the EMA in Europe, and we'll probably even want to go to the Asia Pacific region as we move into phase 1 clinical trials, because what we want to do is we want to make this clinical trial as successful as possible. We want to get it done as quickly as possible, but we want to give this opportunity and this hope global reach. And that's why we're taking a global perspective, but we're doing it from here in the studio in downtown Vancouver, but also on the campus of the University of Alberta.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
There might be a whole bunch of people who are watching this for other reasons, not saying, okay, I want that treatment, but okay, I have a fascination with what's happening in biomedical advances in treatment, the building out of some rather extraordinary companies. They might go, well, who exactly is Onco Innovations anyways, and why are you the company that should be developing this drug?
Well, we're a biotech company, but as I've alluded to in some of my answers to your questions already, Stu, we're also an AI company, and we're born out of the University of Alberta Cancer Institute, the Cross Cancer Institute there. It's an extraordinary group of people. And we have a completely novel new class of cancer therapy. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It was discovered by Dr. Weinfeld in 2009.
So you have proprietary.
We have five patents.
Yeah.
On both the PNKP, the polynucleotide kinase phosphatase, the inhibitors, and we have patents pending on the nanoparticle packaging as well. So it's a really extraordinary, I think, novel and potentially breakthrough set of discoveries that I really believe will transform cancer therapy. And we're doing it right here in Canada.
Yeah, it is quite an extraordinary community that we live in.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier about British Columbia in particular being the birthplace of so much of genomics research in Canada, going all the way back to Michael Smith.
That's right.
A Nobel Prize winner. And
Absolutely.
It's helped to create an environment. Where do you see the impact of this going in being able to also then build out more of that community?
Well, I think we have to contribute to that community, right? And so we have an opportunity to do that here in BC. We've got established research partnerships through our acquisition of Inca Health AI, which are quite exciting. Quantify Research, the BC Cancer Research Institute. I think of the incredible team. It's the hope that drew me to Onco Innovations, but there was a really incredible team, Stu, that was behind it. And you talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, we've got Dr. Richard Heinzel and Dr. James Obernsky, who brought Doctors Without Borders to Canada. That was Dr. Heinzel. They're all involved in this endeavor. And so they're bringing a global flavor, they're bringing a global reach, and they're giving us a platform, enabling a platform for us to take this science and this technology and our proprietary lead drug candidate, which is Onco-10, which I think I'm mentioning for the first time, but very, very important. We've got the that's right. We got the platform technology, which is the PNKP piece, and we've got Onco-10, which is the novel inhibitor of the PNKP enzyme, which is the novel drug candidate. So we've got these two assets. Now we've got an asset in the context of Inca Health AI and Cinegraph, which brings in genomic, proteomic data sets to be able to de-risk our clinical trials. So we've got an extraordinary set of opportunities in front of us.
So obviously, because you have to have long-term thinking.
Yeah.
What do you envision the future holds as far as potential for Onco Innovations?
Well, I think the future is endless for Onco Innovations because we're attached to a quest to give patients hope. And so the future is endless. The future is hopeful, but the future is also very defined in terms of the steps that we need to take to be able to get this therapeutic into the bedside and into the clinic. So we'll go through that process. As I said, it's a long and complicated road, but we're going to accelerate it and we're going to move with all deliberate haste to get there. One of the things that we want to accomplish this year is to have our clinical trial phase 1 approvals either done or on the cusp of being done so that we can move into phase 1 clinical trials as soon as we possibly can. Early 2026. I have to tell you, Stu, people tell me that I'm bullish in a good way. I say I'm a bull in a good way, right? Yeah. Because we need to get this done. But we've had tremendous momentum. I'm also reminded that the company is still, while based on 15 plus years of research, still relatively young. And so we're being very deliberate about the approach that we're taking. But we took the company public at the end of November. We made a major acquisition in February. And we've got a very defined roadmap of where we're going to get to and how we're going to get there. So we just need to be deliberate, and we need to be focused, and we need to bring partners to the table.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because partly because I think the elephant in the room in Canada around drug development is we're really good at the incubator stage and getting things going. Yeah. But then to grow to the scale that we need, it's as though there is timid capital investment. Do you believe that you're going to be able to overcome that hurdle? Because earlier you said you're committed to making this Canadian.
Yeah.
How do we help to ensure that we can bring those investment dollars that are going to be needed? Because it is a long and costly process.
It's a long and costly process, but let's remember, we went public in Canada first. We chose Canada first, and Canada chose us first, so that's excellent. All of our initial investors in the business are Canadian, and Canada is our foundation. There's no question about that. But there's more that we're going to need to do. And if we're going to have the reach that we believe that we need to have to save lives, we're going to have to expand and have a global presence. So the work that we might be doing right now around our manufacturing of the initial formulation for the purposes, that's part of the steps towards our march towards phase 1 clinical trials, we'll do that in Canada. But we may also be in a position to set up relationships with other contract research organizations in other parts of the world. Right now, we're looking at Australia. Australia's very interesting. They're like Canada. They provide substantial incentives, but they also have the opportunity to accelerate. And so we're looking at places that would be positive for us to be able to move our effort forward as quickly as we possibly can. So global reach is important, building from Canada and building from the tremendous amount of support that we've received thus far. And on the partnerships front, I mean, I've named some of them: Quantify Research, BC Cancer Research Institute, BC Genome Sciences. Those are all extraordinary organizations. We're going to work with them and more as we go forward.
Well, I find it very exciting. Number one, because you're bringing hope to patients. Yep. Number two, you're advancing research and development in areas that I think that Canada has unique advantages. But your long-term commitment to keeping it here, I think, is important because it helps to build a stronger economy, more resilience, and in these very interesting times, it's important that we develop those industries here with international markets. Thanks for your time today.
Stu, thank you so much, and look forward to talking again.